You found the podcast, Go Beyond the Brief, where we take a deep dive into the societal currents shaping our lives. Together, we'll explore the often unseen forces at play. We'll examine the research, dissect the data, and most importantly, if you're seeking to understand what's shaping our society, this is the place.
We're getting straight into the heart of the stories that matter. And today, we're looking at something genuinely unprecedented. The federal government taking control of the D.C. Metropolitan Police Department just this August.
Yeah, it's quite the development. And the way it happened, President Trump using Section 740 of the D.C. Home Rule Act, that specific power, well, it's never been invoked before. Not once.
Never before. And the reason given, the president cited a, quote, crime emergency and total lawlessness in D.C. But that's the core of our deep dive today. That claim seems to fly directly in the face of the MPD's own crime statistics.
Exactly. So Section 740, it gives the president the power to federalize the D.C. police, but only for federal purposes and under special conditions of an emergency nature. That's key.
And the mayor has to comply, right?
Legally, yes. Congress gets notified within 48 hours, and the federal control is meant to be temporary, up to 30 days initially. The ACLU D.C. office calls it a very limited power, just for temporary takeovers tied to federal needs.
Limited, and again, never used like this. People might think of Lincoln and the MPD's founding during the Civil War a true national crisis. This feels different, especially because the official crime data shows things improving, not worsening.
Right, and the initial period was set for those 30 days, apparently ending around September 10th.
So what was the White House saying specifically? What was the emergency?
Well, the public message was all about a severe public safety crisis. Terms like total lawlessness, public safety emergency. There was a White House memo mentioning an epidemic of crime, that D.C. was under siege.
And the president himself made some pretty strong claims. D.C.'s murder rate higher than Bogota, car thefts way up.
Yes, those specific claims were made. And they pointed to certain incidents.
Like the embassy staffers killed in May and the congressional intern in June?
Correct. Those were cited, along with an attack on an administration staffer during a carjacking attempt, described as merciless. This is all framed as part of a larger federal push to restore law and order.
And it connects to that March executive order too, right? Making the District of Columbia safe and beautiful.
Exactly. That included orders about removing homeless encampments from D.C. parks. So there's a link there.
The stated goal being protecting federal operations and access in the Capitol.
So that's the narrative presented. A city spiraling into crime, justifying federal intervention.
But then you look at the numbers, the actual MPD statistics.
And it's a completely different picture, a stark contradiction, really. The data shows violent crime in D.C. dropping significantly.
How significant are we talking?
Okay, compare 2024 to 2023. Homicides, down 32%. Total violent crime, down 35%.
Wow, those are big drops.
Huge. And it didn't stop there. Look at this year, 2025, compared to the same period in 2024. Homicides down another 12%. Total violent crime down 26%.
And car thefts. Weren't they supposed to be soaring?
Motor vehicle theft actually stayed pretty flat. A tiny increase, but basically stable. Overall crime was down.
So the trend is consistently downwards, which just makes the crime emergency justification look, well, shaky.
It really undermines it. Now, the White House tended to focus on absolute rates, not the trend. Like D.C.'s 2024 homicide rate per 100,000 people.
Focusing on the number itself, not the direction it's heading.
Precisely. And perception plays a role, too. A Gallup poll found most Americans believe crime went up in 2024, even when stats often showed otherwise. There's a gap.
Okay, so for you, the listener, maybe living or working in D.C., what does this federalization mean on a practical level?
Well, first, the MPD is under direct federal command. Attorney General Pam Bondi is in charge. And the acting MPD commissioner is now Terrence Cole, who runs the DEA.
The DEA administrator running the D.C. police.
Yes. And the Secretary of Defense was told to mobilize the D.C. National Guard.
Until law and order is restored, quote unquote.
Right. Plus, you've got about 500 federal agents coming in from various agencies. FBI, ATF, DEA, IC, Marshals, Secret Service, DHS. It's an alphabet soup.
So a much more visible federal presence and a shift in priorities.
Definitely. That focus on clearing homeless encampments from parks, for example, shows local policing aligning with federal directives now.
So interactions with law enforcement might feel different. Different agencies, maybe different mandates.
That's likely, yes. It changes the landscape.
And stepping back, how does this fit into the whole D.C. home rule situation?
Good question. D.C. has had home rule since 1973 elected mayor. council. But it's limited autonomy. Congress holds significant power. They can veto local laws, control the budget. It's not statehood.
And how have D.C. officials reacted to this federalization?
Not well. Mayor Bowser called the administration's claims hyperbolic and false. She stated the legal conditions for a takeover just don't exist.
And Congresswoman Eleanor Holmes Norton.
She called it an historic assault on D.C. home rule. And she's using it to argue for her D.C. statehood bill.
This isn't happening in a vacuum either. There's been talk from the administration about revoking home rule altogether.
Absolutely. President Trump has warned about, taking federal control of the city and running it how it should be run.
So this action feels like a major move in that larger struggle over D.C.'s self-governance.
It certainly seems that way. It's deeply political. The atmosphere has been described as unprecedentedly silent in some ways, maybe suggesting people are digging in for a longer fight over D.C.'s future.
So let's wrap this up. We've seen President Trump use a never-before-used power, Section 740, to federalize D.C.'s police. The stated reason was a crime emergency, but the official statistics show crime has actually been significantly decreasing.
Right. That huge gap between the rationale and the data is really the core issue here. It suggests there might be broader political goals at play. It's a direct challenge to D.C.'s already limited autonomy, and it pours fuel on that whole statehood debate fire.
It really makes you think. When official data is so starkly contradicted by the justification for such a major federal action, what does that signal? And maybe the thought to leave you with is this. What does this unprecedented assertion of executive power mean for the future of D.C.'s self-determination? And how might it shift the balance between a federal power and local control right here in the nation's capital